Hey, what's up, wreckers? Welcome back. This is Mark with Southern Custom CC, and thanks a lot for tuning in to part one of the Stock Kit Tips and Tricks series. The series is made and dedicated to helping you modify and prep your typical motorized bicycle engine kit so that you can get the most out of your build and hopefully save yourself some time, money, and headaches along the way. Throughout this series, we will talk about the exhaust, gas tank prep, clutch levers, sprockets, the magneto, chain idlers, carburetors, intake manifold, throttle bodies, and so much more. We'll be looking at using only the stock parts that come in a typical engine kit. I'm fully aware, as are other viewers, that someone can buy upgraded parts to bypass some of these headaches we will be discussing in this series. But the purpose of this video is not to sell upgrades. The purpose of this video is to MacGyver or DIY yourself a solid motorized bicycle engine kit for the first time by one tip and one trick at a time. If you haven't already, please do yourself a solid and take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss any of the updates and the episodes in this series as they become available. You'll also be helping to support the motorized bicycle community by encouraging me to make more informative and hopefully helpful videos for our channel. So without any further ado, let's check out tip number one. This is more of a trick than a tip because it doesn't work with all bike setups. It only works for those whose wheelbases are not wider than 2 1/8 inch. So if you have a bike that is 2.125, you can do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I do it for any other bike that has like a 2-inch 1.95 or the 700C. Okay, and that trick is you still put the rubber grommet on the inside, but you do not need that secondary grommet. You just set that in and it's a perfect fit, and it will assure a true fit. Okay, look at that, there's still width between the wheel and the chain, so you're going to have clearance between your chain and your tire. And when you go to torque this down in a hexagonal pattern, make sure you do it to at least 25 foot-pound. Okay, what I do is I do the triangle, so bing bang boom, bing bang boom, then bing bang boom, and that way you get an even flattening, which by the time you're done, if you do that, this sprocket will be so true you'll be amazed. Now if you have the tire that is the 2.125, which typically comes with like the Cranbrooks, the Nellusos, the Huffies, and most cruisers, you can still do this, but there is a chance of some rubbing against your tire. The way to avoid that is to keep your chain constantly at its proper tightness at a 1/2 inch give. Okay, and once you have your wheel installed, you can go ahead and check the trueness. If it does need adjusting, then go ahead and adjust it. But once you put it on, you realize just how straight this is compared to what it would be if you had to try and put on the exterior rubber grommet. So this is a quick tip that will save you a lot of time if you have the smaller wheelbase. Alrighty, for the next tip we're going to talk about clutch levers. So there are two different types of clutch levers that you'll see in these kits. You'll see the quote-unquote Zeta and you'll see the standard clutch lever. Both have the locking mechanism, which will allow you to idle your bike once it's been started, and it'll allow you to free ride. Now one has the push down and one has the click lever. The tip for each one is different. So with the red one, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to flip it over, and on the locking mechanism, you're going to want to undo that screw, because look how loose that is. Okay, you're going to want to loosen that up, and then you're going to want to use some red Loctite on it. Okay, put a drop or two of red Loctite on that screw, and then screw that back in, and that's going to keep your screw from falling out after a lot of use and a lot of locking. Now if you get the standard clutch, this one tends to lose its washing nut, or its washer, along the pinch mechanism. Okay, see how that's bowled just a little bit? That holds that washer on. And after lots of popping, that gets flattened out, and that washer is going to come out. The spring is going to push this mechanism up, and you're going to lose it. Then you're just going to have a lever. So to prevent that from happening, what we want to do is we want to put on a solder patch. So we're going to lay this and get this flat. We're going to get our torch, we're going to heat that up. We're going to get some flux. We're going to put it on the tip of the solder, and then we're going to heat that up and create a stop. Okay, and as you can see, I was aiming away from anything that may have rubber in it. So in here you have your nylon Loctite, so you don't want to melt that. You don't want to melt anything that's in there, so you aim the flame away. And as you can see, we now have a stop that will not come off. Even after a lot of use, that's not going to pop off. Alrighty, another tip I have for you is the gas tank. There's essentially two different types of gas tanks that you can get in your kit. One is a female petcock and one is a male petcock. So the male petcock will have the threads where you thread into the gas tank, and the second will be the female where you screw on to the gas tank. Now if you're using the male, you do want to use just a little bit of plumber's tape to get a nice seal with that threading and the gas tank. But with the female, you do not want to use the threading, because if you over torque it, the nut will actually become dislodged from your petcock unit, and then that will render it useless and you'll start to get a gas leak. So another thing I do to prevent a gas leak is I use Seal All. This is a gas rated silicone based glue, and this will not only keep your nut in position and your petcock locked, but it will keep any gasoline from penetrating out and creating a leak from your petcock connection. So first thing you want to do is you want to get out all the dust and any metal shards that might be in your gas tank. Check it, double check it, and triple check it, because if any metal shards reside in here, even though you do have this gas filter and then you have the secondary gas filter, there's still shards that will come out of this and potentially can end up into your engine and destroy it. So don't do that. So typically what I do is I will put in, after cleaning my gas tank, I will thread on the petcock, finger tight. Okay. I will keep my petcock a quarter of a turn from my finish turn. So then I'll finger tight the nut, and then just as I feel it getting nice and snug, I will give it that last quarter turn with my fingers, and that will keep my petcock in place. Okay? And that will also prevent me from over tightening the nut down onto the threading and thus ruining my petcock. So once this is installed and I'm comfortable with the tightness of that nut and the petcock, I'm going to test it to make sure the petcock doesn't spin, and it doesn't. I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to put some Seals All right in that connection all the way around. I want to create a blockade from that gas coming out. going to let it sit, and I'm going to let it spread all the way down. The hard part is getting it between that petcock and the nut. So I'm going to put on extra layers and I'm going to blow it down. Okay. And once it's just about there, I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to let gravity do its work. I'm going to let gravity pull that dripping of the seal all down to complete the seal. I'm going to let that dry for quite a many hours, and I will finish my engine kit and come back to this later while this dries. Okay, and before we mount the gas tank, we want to come back and we want to make sure that that sealsall has made a complete connection around that nut and the seal of 360 degrees, because we don't want any gas leak coming out of there, and we want that nut to be nice and tight. Now, no, I did not glue the petcock to the gas tank. The petcock can be removed from the gas tank. All I did was secure that nut so that it won't break that seal in that gasket. So this is a solid connection. You're not going to get a gas leak from there. Alrighty, that concludes part one of our stock kit tips and tricks segment. We'll be having more parts coming out here soon. Be sure to please smash that like and subscribe button, and be sure to check us out on the web. Fly low and avoid the radar, everyone. We'll see you around.